Hey nerds. This is gonna be a quick review of Resident Evil 7, which I just finished today. Um, I hope you don't consider too much of a spoiler to say that it has multiple endings. I got ending 2, based on trophies. Uh, if you don't already know, I'm a longtime Resident Evil fan. I have played 0, Remake, 2, 3, 4, Code Veronica, 5, 6, Revelations 2. Enjoyed them all in their own unique ways, but I've always been a sucker for the old Resident Evils. And of course, in their promise to return to horror, Capcom has definitely delivered. You can look all over the internet to hear about that. Very atmospheric. I do wish I had been able to do my first playthrough in VR. However, since that ship has sailed, I still look forward to it because I think the immersion of VR could make it even scarier. I also want to mention that I haven't been scared of a Resident Evil game since I was like 10. When I used to watch my brother play Resident Evil 2 and was too scared to even take over for him during bathroom breaks. That being said, I felt like I had come a long way. I've beaten all the main story Resident Evils. The only ones I haven't touched are the Outbreak series, and if you want to get like extra out there, Resident Evil Gaiden. However, this game, being a first-person game, could turn off a lot of people. I'm sure it did, but I'm sure a lot of people still gave it a chance. I definitely will say right now, definitely give it a try if it piques your interest, especially as just like a horror lover, even if you're not really that into Resident Evil, because it's so far removed from the story of the other Resident Evil games that only someone who's looking for the special details will see the connections. Or you could just, look up the Easter eggs on the internet and then you'll know whether or not you're a fan or not. However, it is definitely the first Resident Evil game in a long time that I feel like someone coming in dry won't feel at a loss because, oh, what are all these characters that I should know? No, like, you're being introduced to these characters as you would if you were just watching a one-off movie or something. And I think that all the characters are done really well, and I know that it's kind of hard when you have a first-person perspective, even in just fiction, to give enough details that the reader or experiencer, in this case, wouldn't be totally biased through the eyes of their narrator. Of course, the videotapey old school VHS aesthetic really works well, even if it does seem a little out of place given that it's 2017 even in the game. But basically having a video camera strapped to you through the entire game really gives a certain kind of perspective that is very much like Blair Witch or something, but also a lot like Hardcore Henry, and that it really forces you into this role and you really feel like this character. And of course they make Ethan a good enough everyman that you can just fill his shoes quite well. But his small quips and his gestures and the reason he's there in the first place do color his character enough. And his reason for being there is another character who definitely has their own kind of story arc that I won't ruin for anyone who hasn't played yet. I'm trying to make this a spoiler-free kind of thing. But I will say that it's a very emotionally touching game, and I think it's elevated by the gameplay. I know that sounds like, well, duh, but I feel like being as high-strung as I was playing this game, scared that I was gonna die around many corners, I definitely was scared that I was gonna get sucked into a power fantasy once bigger weapons were involved, and they were able to keep the tension regardless. And sometimes they do things that you would expect to give us back that feeling of helplessness that acquiring a bunch of items that make your survival easier kind of automatically does. When we got to emotional parts, I felt even more attached to the situation itself because I survived so long. And thinking about it from a survivalist perspective, thinking about the story like, say, you're a victim in The Hills Have Eyes or something, really is telling to the psyche of the character that you're actually playing while they're involved. And the videotape thing does allow for little playthroughs from different characters' perspectives that definitely flesh out not as much the story, because you could probably not watch any of the videotapes and still get most of the story and not feel too much at a loss, I don't think. Although I'm gonna admit I haven't actually seen all the videotapes. I've only seen 3. I don't know how many there are in the game. However, the videotapes or the experiences within the videotapes give the environment that you're in. Ooh, sorry, finger. Give the environment that you're in so much more clarity, especially being able to see it at different times and seeing dilapidation or things that have changed in the environment, kind of warping the level. So you get experience in a particular area from these videotapes, but it's not completely spoilery. You don't necessarily feel like it's just a retread through that area when you do in the main game, but you do have a little bit of context there, and you know how it was, as opposed to things being unavailable to you just because they decided to lock doors, or they decided, oh, it looks nice for this floor to have a giant hole in it that makes you have to go around through doors, which obviously makes the gameplay longer. But with the added experience of having seen the level in the past and maybe seeing an experience that changed the environment, it really makes it feel more real and doesn't make the game mechanics, or I should say the game design, feel cheap because they're lengthening the game through these little arbitrary things. The progression through the story is very brisk. There's a trophy for beating it in under 4 hours. I've heard people just say go on easy, speed through it. It does feel like a game you could speed run really, really well. I can't wait to see Let's Plays and try to do some of my own to see just how fast I can do it. But because of the nature of the game and the story and everything, I feel like more than most Resident Evils, other than trying to be a completionist, I don't think I would mind just running through just to get the story and not worry about, achievements and what have you. That being said, I'm totally going to try platinum this game. And I haven't touched the DLC yet, which none of which I have purchased yet. However, I'm really wanting to jump back in immediately. However, I don't have the time right now. But hopefully I will do a complete story / spoilery review when I do get finish getting the alternate ending. Or I don't want to say too much before then. However, I hope you nerds are really enjoying this 2017, and I hope game-wise, at least, you have at least one thing that's come out so far that you really liked. Because RE7 has definitely lived up to the hype for me that the trailers and all the Capcom press tried to impart way before the release date. And I am kind of sad that I didn't get to jump straight into it the day it came out and beat it within a couple days. But taking your time in a game is still good, and you guys don't feel the need to rush just to avoid spoilers. Just don't go on Tumblr. No, just put filters up. Put tag filters up. So you guys have a good one, and I hope you have a great weekend. Hope you enjoy Lego Batman that came out this week.